Should I be more authentic or should I be more fake? We often have conflicting ideas about how to present ourselves in a conversation or on a stage. On the one hand, probably from our schooling, upbringing, but also advice from communication experts, we have the impression that we need to fake it somehow. We need to create this perfect impression of who we don't really are. On the other hand, we hear that we need to be authentic, be yourself. Especially in business literature, this is increasingly presented as the new dogma. We need to be authentic. Now, as with most complicated issues, there is no clear answer. Communication is complex, otherwise people won't have misunderstandings. And this is so since the beginning of times. Now, think about this from the perspective of the other person. If, for example, we choose how to dress, a pyjama is suitable, it's adequate for going to sleep, but not for going to work. But sleeping every night, suit and tie in your bed, is also not appropriate. If you do sports, you wear proper sports attire, and so on. So you don't expect there be a universal dress, unless you're living on a desert island alone. Now, if you invite guests and you think about what to cook, what to have as food, you most probably think about the expectations, preferences and food intolerances of your guests, I hope. So you don't present just one dish or your favorite dish and you ignore if people eat meat or not, if they have gluten intolerance or not. Likewise, we should approach every conversation like this. But most of us don't do this because we follow some kind of life hack advice. We think there is some magic way to manage conversation with all people in all situations. And that's very, very dangerous. Now, in reality, we have two ideals. One ideal is being authentic, because if we are only fake, this has a high emotional and physical cost. It's very unhealthy to fake it. On the other hand, we need to take into consideration the necessities or the truth of the situation, including the other person. What's the situation? What's the context? Organizational context or cultural. Now, for every encounter we have with a human being, we should somehow adapt. And we do this properly in many other areas too. And we actually do this already. But the question is, not everybody is successful enough in adapting to every situation. Some are more rigid, some are more flexible. So it may be that some situations require you to be very authentic, some require you to be quite inauthentic. For example, if you're a pilot, if I'm the pilot and I'm telling you that I've had a terrible hangover, I've headaches, or my wife just called me telling me to pack my luggage and leave, probably you as a passenger will be quite upset. So here it's not appropriate to be so authentic. Now, most often we need to choose, and we need also to choose which part of ourselves we want to share, because if you start looking inside, practicing introspection, you will see inside our lives, inside our heads, our emotions, there's going on quite a lot, often chaotically. So very often we are in a situation where we actually don't know how to feel. There is turmoil inside. And if you want to tell the other person about everything that's going on in your head, then it will take hours, and that's not feasible either, correct? So we need to be successfully selective, and we need to plan a bit ahead. what part of myself, what part of my inner reality will be conducive to the needs of the situation and the other person. A clear example, I'm getting a phone call before meeting somebody else, and my wife tells me the dishwasher just broke down, or one of our children is sick. Do you expect me to enter the meeting with you in a calm manner, being totally attentive to what you are telling me? Probably not. Probably you will see that I'm a bit distressed, I will smile less, but you don't know that this phone call happened. So what probably happens is you start interpreting my behavior based on what you do. Probably I don't like you, I'm angry with you, or something like this. So you try to find an explanation for my unattentiveness, for my lack of positive emotions. And this will have a very negative effect on you and on the conversation. So in this situation, it makes perfect sense to say, just before we sit down, I just want to mention I'm a bit, I just got a phone call, I need to process. So if you don't see me smiling and be a bit distracted, it's not about you, it's something happened at home. Now you need to choose. So how much do you want to say? You may stop at saying, well, I just got a distressing phone call, so please take this into consideration. You may share more information. So it's a graduation. Huh? Good. So if you do this, then you are doing something that's in your own interest, because you don't want to alienate the other person. You want to have a productive discussion, but you do it also in favor of the other person. So you're taking a lot of stress out of the conversation. If people would systematically do this and just inform people at the beginning of a conversation where they are coming from, what just happened to them, or in what mood they are, then a lot of mind reading going on in meetings would disappear. So what do you think? Looking forward for your questions and comments. I hope this was useful. See you next week. Bye bye.